Welcome back, my BBs. We're here at another episode of Quarantine Vids. Tonight we're gonna make Pitta breads. You can't see that, it's backwards, but I'll show you the picture. I'm gonna make a Paul Hollywood recipe. I actually love his book. How to Bake is one of the best baking books I own. Thank you, Tom Thwaites, who got it for me. Okay, so it's gonna make about 6 to 8 pitas, or pitta if you're British. It's gonna take about 1 to 2 hours to make, and then bake is about 5 to 10 minutes, but super easy recipe. You'd be amazed how authentic looking and delicious this pita is gonna be. I'll post the ingredients list, but just for reference, you're gonna need 250 grams of strong white bread flour, 5 grams of salt, 7 grams of instant yeast, 160 milliliters of cool water, 2 teaspoons of olive oil plus a little bit extra for when you're kneading the bread itself. And if you have fine semolina, I know a lot of people don't have that, you can just use regular flour or extra flour for dusting. Okay, I'm gonna get all my ingredients together and come back. Okay, so I have all my ingredients. I've got my 250 grams of strong white bread flour. I have 2 teaspoons of olive oil, 7 grams of instant yeast, and then my 5 grams of salt, which I've pre-measured out. So I'm gonna add the salt to one side of the bowl and yeast to the other side. Of course, yeast and salt don't get along, so you wanna make sure that they don't interact before you've mixed the dough. So I'm first going to mix in the yeast on one side, and then I can incorporate the salt. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and add the olive oil and mix that around. Okay, so what you want to do is slowly add the water. You want to add around like 3/4 of the water and check on it. Some dough is actually going to be formed quicker than adding all 3/4 of it. So I'm just going to add it really slowly, just kind of basically kneading in the water. Here, I'll move this so you can see. Kneading in the water so it becomes a rough dough. Now I don't want a soggy dough, so that's what I'm trying to avoid by not adding all of the water all at once. But you do want something that is going to keep its form. So you want a kind of dough that's soft but not soggy. I'm gonna add a little bit more, and hopefully I'm gonna get all of the dough, all of the flour from the sides of the bowl into this one dough. I'm gonna add a little bit more water. So incorporating all of it. Really trying to get the flour that's stuck on the side of the bowl to stick to the mass. Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit more water. You see I have like roughly, I don't know, 1 inch of water still that I haven't used. And I probably won't need it, but we'll see. Okay, yeah, so I was able to get all of the flour into this dough without having to add all the flour. And I do have basically kind of rough dough now. And so what I'm gonna do is oil my work surface. So I've cleaned this table. Make sure at COVID times you need to make sure you're always using clean tables. Wipe it down with one of those antibacterial wipes. And mix around. And then I'm just gonna start to knead it. I'm gonna knead it for about 5 to 10 minutes until it's formed a soft dough. One thing I forgot to mention is that while the Bowl is rising in a warm place. Preheat the oven to 425. That's 220 degrees Celsius. So just gonna add some olive oil and make sure it's all over the bowl. Make sure that my little guy's all oiled. See, it's just a little baby. And then I'm going to cover it. And because I'm actually going to be using the oven, preheating it, I'm not going to use my proving drawer. But ideally, I would put it in a warm place like a proving drawer. But unfortunately, because the oven won't be heating, we can't use it. And also, don't put the bowl on top of the preheating oven. It's going to be too hot. It's actually going to cook the bottom of the bowl. I've made that mistake before. See you in about an hour. Hi, my babies. So this bowl is going to rise in this bowl for about an hour. But meanwhile, I'm going to preheat the oven to 430 degrees Fahrenheit, which is roughly 220 degrees Celsius. And while I'm preheating, I'm actually going to put my pan in there with it. I'm gonna get my pan really hot, so I'm gonna put it in the oven while it's preheating. And then I'm gonna use it to actually cook the pita on it as it's hot. So ideally I have, like, if I had a pizza stone or something like that that could heat up, that's a great use for this. So throw your pizza stone in there, throw your ceramic stone in there, or you can use a regular old-fashioned pan. Okay, hi guys. So I've got my risen little ball of dough. I'm just gonna weigh it and see if I can get 395 divided by 6. That's around 65 per piece. So I'm just gonna try to make some even sizes of my pita dough. So I've got, all right, that's pretty good. That's too big. So I want them to be roughly the same size. I'm just adding, oh, not big enough. I'm making these little balls as I go. Perfect. All right, so I have my normal size balls. So as I'm rolling each of them out, I'm gonna cover them with a tea towel so they stay sort of moist and dry. And I'm going to flour my surface. And start off with a ball. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. I actually don't have a rolling pin personally, so I'm just going to use my trusty dusty Yeti. And again, this can be, you know, as kind of haphazard as you'd like. I like to have a kind of oval shape to my pita, but it's really up to you. You can, you know, make more rounded ones if you choose. But I really want to get them pretty thin. I want them to be about half an inch at least. Sorry, maybe more like a centimeter. I'm really bad with measurements like that. Okay, so I've gotten it pretty thin. You can see that, pretty thin. And then I'm gonna put it back under the tea towel. I'm gonna do another one. Now my dough actually didn't rise very much, so unfortunately I don't think my pita is gonna be that big. But that's okay. I didn't leave it to rise that much.
I'm kind of hungry. So, you know, it's fine. Have a little piece of pita. It's going to be delicious anyway. But yeah, if you notice that your pita hasn't risen that much, what you can do is put it in a warmer place. I don't my location, really good location actually in the house. You know, in the kitchen, I think it was by the window, so being by the window, I think got a little glassy. So it didn't rise as much as I expected it to rise in an hour. So usually if I had time, I would let it rise for maybe another hour, even 2 hours, to let it get that kind of level of, you can see I'm just kind of like, really not, they're very thin.
Okay, I've taken my hot pan out. I'm going to now add a little bit of flour to my hot pan. And I'm going to put my pita onto the pan about an inch or so between each piece. Looks like I really only have room for only doing 4 at a time, and that's okay. So we've got here the pita pieces, and I'm gonna throw it in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna watch it really intently because you wanna pull it out as soon as it starts to brown even slightly. Moment of truth. My alarm just went off. Oh yeah. Okay. Those look pretty good. All right, I'm gonna, oh yeah. Gorge. I mean, you know, they're no Kismet pita, but they look pretty darn good to me. And there you have it, folks. All right, so this is from my mom. So we've got a very light and flaky bread. You can see it open up if you want to turn it into a pocket, that sort of thing. It's light, it's flavorful. I think it's really yummy. And there you have it, folks. Homemade pita, or pitta. Thanks for joining.